By now, we've all heard the term the Great Resignation, the mass exodus of America's workforce as people search for occupations that are more fulfilling and rewarding. Well, here to share how leaders and companies can successfully onboard new employees is Courtney Hamilton, Managing Director for the Miles Group. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so not everybody is going out into business for themselves. So they're going from one occupation to another job. So what is the lesson here? What should we know? What should our leaders know?
Sure. I think one of the things that was interesting as we started referring to this period of time sort of during and post-pandemic as the Great Resignation, but what we're really looking at is a great reshuffling. A lot of people who've left the workforce are re-entering the workforce due to various concerns like inflation, and organizations are hiring for folks who've left, potentially to refill roles that they've lost or to expand their business as circumstances around us change. And I think as you think about leaders in this position is we think about recruiting a lot. We think about how do we find the right people, but we don't necessarily think about perhaps as much when those individuals have join the organization, how do we ensure the likelihood of success, right? And I think one of the things that we have to keep in mind, if you have one employee, if you have 50 employees, how do you successfully onboard people into your organization to get them up to speed, engaged, and optimized as soon as possible?
Sure.
I think often we think about sort of if we're hiring individuals to join our organization, sometimes we view it as a one-to-one swap. Someone left, we're bringing somebody else in. But actually, I think you need to think about it as new member, new team, right? By definition, if you have one new member, one new leader in an organization, the chemistry changes, the makeup of that organization changes. We also can't expect incoming individuals onto our teams and into our organizations to understand the norms of our organizations, right? So we might think of onboarding as get you set up with a laptop, let you know our vacation policy, and we go from there. But actually, it's a lot more than that. Thinking about as a leader, who am I bringing onto my organization and how am I setting context for them to be successful inside of this organization? Move beyond the basic onboarding process of new laptop and policy and think about how you're going to set up for them what does good look like? What gets a gold star in this organization? And how are we, with one new member, three new members, one new leader, or any combination of the above, going to work together as a new team? And taking time to sort of think about that and reestablish those norms is really important and something we see overlooked quite a bit.
And what would you say, what advice would you give to leaders, managers who are tasked with making those shifts? Because that's going to have to be a huge just mind shift to get to that place where it's not just the onboarded person adapting to what already is, but for what already is to adapt to that person.
So I'll take your question and I'll answer it in two ways, right? I think from the perspective of the leader, creating as much clarity as possible is key, right? So one, have you really standardized what your norms are, right? Are they sort of well established, and can you write them down? Do you have a team charter that you can explain? By doing that, you can make it a lot easier for somebody else to onboard. I think on the flip side of that, if you're coming into an organization, I think to expect an organization to bend to you is probably not going to work out as well, right? So if you're one person joining a team of 10 or a team of 20 or an organization of thousands, you might have some really great best practices that you bring from your previous experience, from your previous roles, and there will be plenty of time ahead to bring those forth. But as you think about how you onboard coming into the organization, remember that you have to wire yourself into that organization. What are those process and operating norms? And think about those. You may very well have great suggestions around how to do it better or differently or further optimize, but first, learn the rules of the road in the organization that you're entering.
Absolutely.
Then you can think about how you further evolve that organization.
Courtney Hamilton, I want to thank you so much for your time. Great advice. Really interesting times that we live in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're back after this.